The Financial Times today has done a very nice article about Mel Stride. His candidacy for the Conservative Party leadership offers an interesting case study in the complexities of modern British politics, particularly in a post-Brexit world, post-Johnson era. And the analysis from the Financial Times provides a detailed examination of both the strengths and the weaknesses of Stride as a candidate, illuminating why he may be both promising and yet improbable as a leader for the Conservative Party. He's an MP for Central Devon, with a background that combines significant governmental experience, but with a relatively low profile. And his roles, including Work and Pension Secretary, position him as a figure with deep understanding of key areas of policy that are currently of great importance to the UK, such as the future of public services, particularly the NHS, the economic challenges facing our country, and yet, if he's one of the steady, if unspectacular, serving ministers, he's not a household name like Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak in some ways. While that might serve him well among Conservative Party faithful who are looking for a more measured and less divisive figure, his lack of charisma and his lack of a compelling public persona is a significant drawback in a political environment that increasingly values visibility and media-savvy presence. So the FT article suggests that Stride is the only candidate who is directly addressing the three critical issues that led to the Conservative Party's defeat in the recent election: the state of the public realm, the abandonment of Boris Johnson's broad appeal by Rishi Sunak, and the disarray within Conservative campaign headquarters, CCHQ. I think there's many other reasons why the Conservative Party failed at the last election, but those three are a good selection. There's so many, frankly. But the FT says this positions Stride as a candidate who is not only aware of the party's problems, but is capable and willing to confront them head on. I think the biggest problem, frankly, is the overreach of the Home Office in the hands of extraordinarily vocal and strident right-wingers. And that it's been catapulted into that position. It was catapulted into that position at the beginning of the Conservative reign 14 years ago, and it's continued. And those people have dominated the headlines. Theresa May, Priti Patel, Suella Braverman, cleverly. Stride's moderation is a key advantage, of course. He's not somebody who's going to be grabbing the headlines and going on to Twitter all the time. In British politics, where the electorate often gravitates towards the centre, a candidate perceived as moderate can actually be a unifying figure. So his potential to appeal to the One Nation voters, those who favour someone more centrist, inclusive, that could make him a compelling choice for a party that needs to rebuild its broad electoral coalition. But the FT, and I'm afraid, I'm also inclined to take the same view. The FT has significant doubts about his prospects. The most glaring issue is the perception that he is unlikely to win a leadership contest when it comes to the choice of two people, because he will be up against someone like Priti Patel and the chomping electorate of blue rinse, rabid anti-immigrants will go for Priti Patel every time. These are the activists. It's not an election that is won by people who are thoughtful. It's won by people who are vocal. It might just as well be a hustings in the days of Pickwick. The article suggests that his candidacy is more about positioning himself as a future grandee of the moderate wing of the party rather than a serious bid for leadership. That may well be true. But the party, I don't think, will survive a Priti Patel leadership. it will be sucked into reform. And this perspective that Stride has to think about something else is critical, because it suggests that he may lack the necessary political acumen or timing to seize the leadership at the moment when the party isn't ready for a moderate figure. But the party will not be around if an immoderate figure takes control. It will skewer itself to death with further introspection and further self-gratification. And his decision to run now, instead of positioning himself for a more advantageous moment in the future, is questioned by the FT as a strategic misstep. But I think it's all about throwing his hat into the ring because he knows this is a last-ditch attempt to save the party. I don't think his judgment is wrong. I think particularly given his support for Rishi Sunak in 2022, which according to this article demonstrated a failure to read the political landscape effectively. No, I think he puts the country before he puts the party. And now he's doing the same thing. The country needs a good opposition, rather than an opposition which is turned in on itself and not able to voice anything of substance. And his appeal to One Nation Tories, those who believe in a more compassionate, centrist approach to conservatism, cannot be understated. In a party increasingly pulled to the right, Stride's moderation might be seen as a necessary corrective. But it limits his appeal in a party where the base has shifted rightwards over the years, particularly in the wake of Brexit and the populist surge that brought Johnson to power and Farage into prominence. The question of whether Stride can be a unifying candidate is central to his prospects, and the FT suggests that while he might be able to unify the moderate wing, he lacks the broader appeal needed to bring the entire party together, especially in an age where figures like Robert Jenrick and Kemi Badenoch are the rising stars with more robust support from the party's right flank. I think we should be preparing the eulogy for the Conservative Party. While Stride represents a thoughtful, experienced, moderate choice for the Conservative Party that could see its modest resurrection over the course of one or two parliamentary terms, the chances of success are hampered by the current political climate and the self-obsession in the party. The chances of his success are hampered by the timing of his bid. His potential to appeal to One Nation Tories is significant, but they don't exist as card-carrying members of the party. I think most of them have abandoned their cards. And what remains of the party's base may not be ready for a moderate leader at the moment. His future may be more about shaping the direction of the moderates within the party, where do they go once the Conservative Party collapses completely, than of leading it himself. And the FT analysis captures this nuanced position quite well, providing a balanced view of Stride's prospects and the inherent challenges he faces in his leadership ambitions. I think if Stride is doomed, this is the bottom line, if Stride is doomed, so is the Conservative Party. I think, frankly, one should be supporting Rejoin EU, but there we are. That's my niche. That's my niche interest, and the only direction I think I can possibly go.